Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Coffee with emPerform. We're doing these live demo sessions every Thursday in February, so you can get familiar with emPerform and take a peek at the different features and tools available to you. So today's session will be focused on some additional features in emPerform to really help take your performance reviews to the next level. And those specifically are 360-degree reviews and the 9-box, and I'm really excited to show you those today. Also a reminder, I know some of you are new on the call today, some of you have joined us all month, and that's great. The first two sessions were focused around performance reviews, and the second was compensation reviews. So if you have not seen those, or if you would like to revisit, please go on to the website because they have been posted. So it's employee-performance.com/coffee with emPerform, and you can see that URL is at the bottom of the screen. So right now, again, we're doing emPerform's 9-box and 360 reviews. And of course, we can't have coffee with emPerform without the coffee. So as a thank you for joining us today, all the attendees will get a card at the end of the webinar. So either Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. So definitely keep an eye out for that. We want you to be nice and caffeinated. So for those who have been joining us, John Smith, our Director of Enterprise Business Solutions, was doing these. I offered to do today's, and my name is not John Smith. Sorry, I didn't update that. My name is actually Natalie Trudell. I've been with emPerform for 9 years now, and I've seen the wonderful changes in the world of performance management over the last decade. I've also seen firsthand how these changes are helping companies to better align and develop their talent. So I'm really looking forward to showing you these features today. Okay, so how are you going to spend the next 30 minutes with me? I'm definitely going to show you a lot, but make a lot out of your time. So what we're going to go through is 360-degree reviews in emPerform. So I'm going to show you the many ways that you can be collecting and using 360-degree feedback, for instance, using Tag for more ongoing feedback, as well as emPerform's integrated 360-degree review functionality. So we're going to get a first-hand look at that. Then I will take you into an introduction to emPerform's wonderful 9-box matrix, which is my favorite feature in emPerform. I'll talk a little bit about asking the right questions so that you can feed it into the 9-box. I'll show you how just from a data visualization standpoint, it's a great tool for talent identification. And I'll show you how you can really use it for succession planning and other ways for talent decision making. Okay, so as a reminder, emPerform is a complete performance management solution. We actually do not modularize our software, so everything I show you today and everything you see on the screen in front of you is included for all of our clients, and it can be activated at no extra cost. So in our experience, this not only saves our customers a lot of money, but it also gives them the freedom to roll out additional processes and features when their workforce is ready for it. And again, today we'll be focusing on 360-degree reviews and the 9-box, but don't forget that with emPerform, you do get online performance reviews, ad hoc reviews, ongoing feedback and journaling, compensation planning, reporting, and loads of templates and content. Okay, so I want to start just by talking a little bit about 360 feedback and why it's so important, especially in today's modern company. So I think the most important thing is employees do not work in a vacuum. Your team likely works with many different peers, other managers, customers and clients, and other people who not only have an interest in how that employee is performing or their output, but they have firsthand observations of an employee's day-to-day work. This means that there is a lot of feedback potentially getting lost in any organization, either from it not being documented or because work is happening interdepartmentally or on projects and managers aren't aware of how this employee is performing from the viewpoint of their peers or other stakeholders. 360 feedback also helps to uncover a lot of performance blind spots or those areas of improvement that, as the name implies, might not be obvious to an employee or a manager without it being pointed out. And as a result, 360 feedback can really help to increase an employee's self-awareness and how they're coming across and being perceived by their team, either good or bad there. So this feedback does help employees to grow and develop their skills in a big way. And as discussed, because employees don't work alone, they don't work in a vacuum, 360 feedback also helps to ensure that employees aren't just getting one-sided, one-way feedback from their manager. This is particularly important, if a manager does not work with that employee on a day-to-day basis, a lot of other people work with them, it's really crucial that if a manager is sitting down to actually provide feedback to that employee or complete a performance review, that they have these multiple angles. They can see things from how they're coming across from their peers, so they can really make sure that that performance review can be trusted, it's valuable, and it's a lot more balanced for the employee. Okay, so there are actually 3 different ways to collect and use 360 feedback in emPerform. It's a very important thing, as you just saw from the slide. So the first is by using emPerform's eSurvey module. We actually have a survey tool in emPerform for online surveys. Clients can use this for any type of survey they want. So engagement surveys, pulse surveys, and of course a big component of that is 360-degree surveys. These can be internal or external, and likely many of you on the call today are probably the most familiar with this type of 360 data collection, so the survey. And it typically involves, respondents would be able to complete a survey online, the results are accessible, and HR reports on it and shares it. So we're not actually going to focus on this a lot today, but as a recap, you do have that capability in emPerform. And for anyone who has done a 360 survey, I'm sure you can agree that it can be a lot of work from HR because they're the ones building the survey, sending it out, compiling the results, and sharing it. So that's why I really want to focus on number 1 and number 2, because I want to show you how you can enable easy, ongoing 360 feedback from your workforce in a way that does not require HR intervention. So let's take a look. I am going to bring you into emPerform. So again, the people who have been on the call all month with us or who are familiar with emPerform, this is going to be nothing new for you. This is emPerform's interface that is accessible online. And again, in the other videos, we went through actually navigating the system and going through performance reviews. Today, I want to talk about 360 feedback. So in emPerform, you'll notice that in any performance review, there might be this little button enabled. And this is the ability to nominate 360 reviewers and actually see the results in emPerform. So if we hop into the actual performance review itself, emPerform has the option to nominate 360 reviewers right within here. So as an example, if I'm completing this employee's performance review, I'm evaluating their goals and their competencies or whatever factors you have enabled here, this is where I can say, I need to ask for help. There's no way I can come up with the best rating unless I ask some people, other people that work with Ashley. Maybe there's some things that I don't know about. So in emPerform, you just click a button. And again, this is 360 feedback with without HR intervention. Now, I will note that with emPerform, HR or the administrator does set the parameters. So there is flexibility here. So you can define when a user can ask for feedback, how many people they can nominate, and you can even specify if it's the manager who should be nominating or the employee or both. So that's why when I click this screen, I see that I am able to nominate 10 people. I have 5 left. So HR can set those default parameters. So this is where I would come into emPerform. I would search through a directory, pull in anyone who I know works with this employee, identify them as a peer, a direct report, or another manager, and simply add them. So this is the automated portion of it. Now what's happening in the back end of emPerform is when I add them and save, that person gets a notice and they're asked to provide 360 input. And it isn't, a survey where they answer some generic questions. What we've done to make things easier is our integrated 360 reviews actually open up any sections of a performance review for peer feedback. Now don't worry, they don't see an employee's comments or any of the manager's ratings. They only see the items specific to that employee's job. So you can see here in emPerform, we've been nominated to be a 360 evaluator for our colleague Lee here. And when we click in to provide feedback, we can remind ourselves who Lee is, of course. But when we click in, all we see are the sections that were open for our input. And in most cases, we want to get that peer feedback on this employee's competencies. So how are they performing in those key skills that are vital to their role? So of course, these would be highly tailored to their job because that's a great feature in emPerform. I can provide overall comments, and I could click inside to either provide a rating or just comments. And what we're seeing more and more of is a start, stop, keep going framework, where peers and other managers can identify what the employee should start doing, stop doing, and keep doing when it comes to this particular competency. In this case, it's organization. So this is certainly a way you can structure it. If you would prefer to just have a rating and a comment, you can do that as well. Whatever you need to ask your workforce to make sure that you're gathering input and employees are being fairly evaluated, you can do that here. So you can see from a 360 evaluator perspective, it's nice and easy to go in, weigh in on how my peer's performing. Now, all of that great feedback is coming in, and any manager definitely wants to see it. It's going to reveal a lot of insight. So again, with the traditional 360 survey, it is HR's responsibility to be collecting this and reporting it and sharing it. Not with emPerform. With integrated 360s, I can actually track the status of what's coming in, and I can see the results in real time. So as a manager, this is so valuable. Before I go in to have a meeting with Ashley, or before I provide comments in her performance review, I'm going to come here and see what her peers said about her. It's going to give me a nice summary of the average score for each of the competencies, so I can quickly skim to see areas she might be, for instance, communication, it's relatively low, so what's going on there? And I can see individual comments from the contributors. So you can imagine, very valuable for a manager. If there's anything that I would like to discuss with the employee, I simply have to copy and paste it into their review, make a note of it, but the information is available to me at literally a click of a button. So this is the best and easiest way to enable formal 360 feedback in your organization. You can use it in annual performance reviews. Another way we see it being used a lot is in project-based reviews. So those off-cycle projects that are happening throughout the year, employees are working with other project managers, with other reviewers, and we don't want that feedback to be lost. So what I can do as an employee is, if I've finished either a project or my project manager has finished a project, I could come here and launch a project form. So I just finished project A, B, and C. You can see emPerform already knows it's me, John Smith. I'm going to nominate a project manager because it might be different from my direct manager, and we want to be sure to capture their input. You'll notice that emPerform will ask me right away, was there anyone else who worked with you who should weigh in on this? So I can come in and nominate 360 reviewers right from here and just launch it. So what a great way to make sure that those individual off-cycle projects are being evaluated, all of that 360 feedback is being incorporated, and the project manager and the direct manager will have visibility into this, so they will be able to see that 360 feedback. All right, so that is just a taste of integrated 360 reviews in emPerform. There are dozens of ways you can use this. If you just want to do manager development programs and you have a separate form and process for that, imagine how useful it would be for managers to be able to nominate reviewers for themselves to really uncover those blind spots, like I said. Now, integrated 360s are more formal. I have to formally ask someone, they're going to formally give feedback, and that's going to be documented. But there is a lot of feedback that's happening in any organization every day, and we don't want to miss out on that. So what we have for that, and anyone who attended our first session will know about emPerform Tag. So just a little recap here. Tag is a wonderful module included with emPerform for ongoing feedback and journaling. And I can tell you this is my go-to tool for my own team. I'm always in here making notes about my check-in meetings, about observations, but I'm also using it to send feedback within my organization, other people that I work with, my direct reports. Whenever that happens, I send feedback. So again, I can pick anyone in the company that I work with and send them feedback. Great presentation today. So George might be my colleague. I can shoot it over to the employee. I can even include that employee's manager so the manager knows that George did a great job in the presentation today. The minute I press send, that employee gets a notification that they've received feedback. They can come in, they can take a look, they can share it with their manager, they can pull it into any performance review. So it's a very valuable tool. You'll notice here, if we go into our own direct report, Ashley, if we go into her profile, we do have Tag here, and to make it easier, it's even defaulted to her. But it's nice that I can come and I can see all of the feedback that Ashley's been receiving from her peers. So I might come here and say, okay, show me all the tags for Ashley. That were sent, in the last 2 months. But right now, I'll just pull it up for all times. So it is nice that you can come in here, see all the tags. You can even search through them for each employee. Okay, so again, a little taste of 360 feedback in emPerform. It isn't something that should be once a year. It should be easy for employees to log in to send feedback to anyone else that they're working with, either developmental feedback, positive feedback, just getting all of those different voices captured really does increase the value of performance reviews. And I'm going to show you an example of that right now. If we go back into Ashley's performance review, we now have all of that 360 feedback from her peers. We have all of those tags, and it's a lot easier from a manager's point of view to come in here and complete this performance review. So for instance, if I'm evaluating her competencies, communication, of course, I can see what the employee is saying. I can give them a rating. I can provide comments. But it's a lot more valuable to be feeding all of that feedback in. So if I come in here and search for, let's say, email, you'll notice that she has been receiving feedback from her colleagues, Walter and Kim, throughout the year. Anything that's relevant to how I'm rating this competency, why not pull it in? And that helps to support your ratings and have a better discussion with the employee. And that pulling tags into any performance review can happen in any different section that you have. Okay, so that's a great overview of 360 reviews in emPerform, integrated 360s, ongoing 360s with tag. If anyone on the call has questions, I'm happy to answer them as we go through, or you can contact me after the webinar. I'd be happy to address them. But I think we will move on to the next part of the presentation, which is the 9-box, which is my favorite tool. It's incredible. It's very flexible. So there are really dozens of ways that you are able to use it, and I'll go through a few of those in just a moment. It can also be launched with role-based access. So this 9-box in emPerform can be pulled up for your entire organization, and you can use it as an HR tool, or you can pull it up for certain divisions or departments. You can even make it accessible to managers or division heads for their team, so they can be using the 9-box to identify opportunities. So loads of options there, and it's really up to you to decide how you want to use it. For those of you who might be new to the 9-box, little introduction here doesn't hurt. It's a very easy but powerful tool that companies can use for talent identification, succession planning, and talent decision making. So you'll see here that, and I think I have some animations go along with it. Typically in any 9-box, you're evaluating 2 factors against one another, and then you're plotting everybody into 9 boxes. So more traditionally, we have performance as one of those factors, so the overall performance score for that particular time period for the employee, and then we compare them based on their potential score. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about how you can possibly get that potential score, but for right now, it's just a measure of that employee's potential for growth and potential in the organization. And when we plot these 2 things side by side, we're typically able to deduce high-performing, high-potential employees. So these are your future leaders. These are your stars. You want to know who these people are. You can also identify anyone in need of development, so anyone in that bottom corner. So that's low-performing, low potential. Now, just to continue that on, there's a great resource on the SHRM website, and it really does disseminate what it means to perform in the various 9 boxes in the 9-box. So you can see the top right-hand corner there. They're consistent performers, they're thinkers, they're problem solvers, they're self-motivated, very high potential. So those are the employees you want to be aware of. But we shouldn't discount people in box 2, moderately performing, high potential. Those are the ones, like SHRM says here, you want to give stretch assignments to. You want to up that performance and get them into the next level. Now, of course, we always want to be concerned with box 9 down there. They're obviously not in the right role. Low potential, low performance, something is happening there. So those are the employees that should be identified. Same with things like box 4. So those are your high-performing, low potential employees. And just as it states here, really high performance, but they've really reached the limit of their career potential. Now, based on the position, that may or may not be valuable information or of use. Most of the time it is what it is, and it's fine for that role, but it's worthwhile identifying the employees there. Okay, so I highly recommend you go to the SHRM website to take a look at this, but I've also included an attachment in the webinar screen. So if you go to your attachment section in the GoToWebinar panel, you'll find there's a PDF that we've created. It's called Build Your Own 9-box. So it will show you how you can actually just build a 9-box and what the different boxes mean and how to get your data together. So that might be a helpful resource. But what I want to do now is take you into emPerform's 9-box. So away we go. I'm going to show you the 9-box, how we can use it, and then I'm going to show you how you can use it in many different ways to just take your processes to the next level. So let's look at a traditional performance versus potential 9-box in emPerform. So again, just to reiterate, it is comparing the performance scores, which are actually fed through directly from the performance reviews in emPerform, so no work needed there, versus potential. And there are different ways you can use emPerform to get a potential score. One of the ways is with a survey. Some of our clients launch an annual survey to managers asking them about the potential of the employee. They fill in a couple questions. Based on those answers, a score is generated. The easiest way to get that potential score is actually inside of the performance review itself, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But you can incorporate those career planning or potential questions into the year-end performance review. It takes the manager minutes to go through, and then you have a potential score coming out of it automatically. So again, it's plotting our high-performing, high-potential employees. So just from a data visualization, talent identification perspective, we want to know, who is Harlan? He is our future leader. Is he happy? We love him. We don't have anyone in the box down here, but of course we might be concerned with that. And as we would expect, most employees are going to fall around the, average range, which is fine. emPerform does give you filters, which is very helpful because what it means to be high performing, high potential might be different for every division or organization. So you can come here and adjust this accordingly. And that could skew your results a little bit. Now, again, just being able to see the data, see this item, a lot of great decision making comes out of it. We have a lot of clients that pull their managers into the boardroom at the end of the year, and they pull this up for the whole company. And not only is it a great exercise in identifying talent, but it really does egg on the discussion about lateral movement in the organization, about potential, about calibrating these rating scores, because it's really the first time that your leaders are going to see the performance and potential of their team relative to everybody else. So again, very powerful tool just from a data viz point of view, but you can actually use emPerform's 9-box for decision making and succession planning. So I did mention that if you ask the manager some questions, they're the best ones who know. When are employees ready for promotion? What is their leadership potential? Can they work on different projects? All of those questions that you've ever wanted to know about your workforce, ask your managers, ask your employees, and you can pull them into the 9-box. So for instance, in this particular division, we have a leadership vacancy coming up, and we want to know if anyone from the team can really step up. So we would come here and say, well, we need someone who's ready for a promotion now or in the next 6 months, and we actually need someone who can relocate to another location. And we can apply those questions to see which employees fit that criteria. So you can imagine how helpful it would be to have your specific questions in here, be able to filter this 9-box and decide what actions are needed. Okay, so that's one way to use the 9-box. That alone is a great way. Before I show you another way, I'm just going to hop out of here to show you how we got that potential score and how we collected those questions, because it's very easy to do in emPerform. We're going to hop back into Ashley's review, the same one that we went in for the 360 reviews, and you'll notice that there is a section that appears at the end of the year or any time that you want on career planning. So what we've done here is we've asked the employee 1 or 2 questions about their own potential. Again, great for the employee to know that the company cares and it has it documented. Then we've asked the manager some more specific questions. Now, of course, the employee would never be able to see this. This is going to be completely hidden, but this is where the manager would go through, and it might take them 2-3 minutes to do so and answer those questions. Can they take on increased responsibility? When would they be ready for a promotion? Could they perform 2 levels higher? Can they relocate? And with emPerform, you control what these questions are, but this captures it. Not only is it available for reporting, but it's calculating that potential score that's being fed directly into the 9-box. Okay, so now let me show you one of the more fun ways to use the 9-box, and I think this is a very useful thing. So instead of comparing the traditional performance versus potential, you can get creative and pull in anything else you have in emPerform. So for instance, in your performance review, if you are evaluating goals, competencies, values, those things, start comparing them against one another, because I guarantee you some interesting things will come to light. For instance, if we start comparing this employees groups based on their goals and their competencies. Now with emPerform, that overall performance score might be relatively average. But if we peel that onion back, all of a sudden we see some interesting things. We might have employees up here in this group, which we don't and that's good. But if we did, those employees would be performing really well in their competencies, so technically they have really great skills, but they aren't getting their job done. Their goal score is incredibly low, and that's a problem. We have more and more clients who are starting to evaluate employees on values as well. And they pull up this at the end of the year and they compare competencies versus values because that's where you're going to identify fit over skill. The same thing with goals. Again, we don't have anyone in this corner here, but if we did, those are the employees who are consistently performing in their work objectives. They're getting their job done. They have really high scores. But for some reason, their competency score is really low. Well, that doesn't make any sense. And to be fair, that isn't the employee's fault. What that signifies to us is you probably don't have the right competencies assigned for that employee's position because clearly they have the skills they need. They're getting their work done. So again, we could spend hours on the 9-box and the different ways you can use it. I'm just trying to give you ideas and show you what is possible. But this is certainly one of the more insightful ways to be using it. All right, so back to our slides here. I think that's it for today. I'm happy to answer any questions. I haven't seen any that have come in. But again, my contact information is right there. Don't forget to go to the employee-performance.com/coffeewithemPerform site to get the videos from the last 2 sessions. Today's session will be recorded and posted this week. And definitely join us next week because we're going to be talking about tips and tricks for boosting your performance reviews. And I have a lot of great tools to show you then. I can't thank you enough for joining us. Keep an eye out for your coffee. And again, if you have questions, send an email to info@employee-performance.com. Thank you, everyone.